Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to today's ER episode, and I'm here to talk about the top challenges that I've seen facing the African market as far as when it comes to entrepreneurship and also other areas, but mostly circling back to the business arena, okay? And this is all coming from a personal experience, so please do not feel like I'm trying to pass any judgment or any biased thoughts towards any specific African country or anything like that, okay? Let's get that out of the way. Warning, there's gonna be some trigger warnings in here, okay? There's gonna be some trigger warnings for anyone out there who wants that stuff, generation-wise, whatever. But anyway, so, the first thing that I've seen is basically the whole Mzungu thing, right? So what I mean by the whole Mzungu thing, which in Swahili means white, I'm not trying to like be racist or anything, but basically, my fellow African brothers and sisters, when a Mzungu comes into Africa or any kind of African country, they come in saying they're an expert at something, and we have another person who's also African who comes in saying they're an expert at something. Guess who's gonna be treated with more respect? The Mzungu is. And I'm not here trying to say necessarily being white is bad. I'm just saying I've seen a certain challenge when it comes to Africa, where that when we personally have started like working on the different business that I've been working on, and we see another counterpart that is a Mzungu or a person from, you know, Europe or whatever, or the United States, and they're coming with a product that's not as a higher caliber, they get treated with more respect, they get more doors open for them, as in we've seen this happening in Kenya, for example. Chinese investors coming in, they get treated much better, more respect than our own local Kenyan investors. Now, once again, I'm not here trying to say being Chinese or being European is a bad thing. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we are definitely being biased against ourselves by treating foreigners with more respect. We should be able to treat our own people locally as the same respect as we treat other people. We should be able to provide the same benefit of doubt as we treat other foreigners who are coming in, especially when we're trying to build our own African nation. So let's think about this for a second. You're a person with a business idea and you're trying to launch it into the market, right? And I'm pretty sure we've had a lot of different people who've tried to launch a lot of e-commerce products in the African market, like e-commerce platforms. And guess what happened recently? The first quote-unquote African company, well, it's actually German owned and French owned, is basically Jumia, right? Jumia came out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere. They've been there since like 2012, I believe. And they went public, and they were like the first African unicorn to go public. And a lot of African entrepreneurs were a little bit cringing a little bit because we all knew it was not African owned or African operated. Their money is still going back to Germany, right? You guys know they're Germany owned, right? That money is not staying or going back to our continent as much, right? And also you've been able to see the percent of shares owned are back to who? Yeah, you already know that. And I'm not here trying to be all biased or being all this and that, but I'm pretty sure we have a lot of Africans who've been capable coming up with a lot of ideas on how to do e-commerce in our own continent. And it's very much going to be more powerful for us to start embracing local entrepreneurs instead of only kind of going towards like, hey, it's a person who's a foreigner, so they must know more than we do. As in, that kind of goes back to the whole colonialism stuff, and we're still kind of that colonial mindset where that we end up treating foreigners with a higher benefit of doubt than we do with our own local people. I feel like that's a very big challenge that we're currently facing right now in Africa. And once again, trigger warning, I don't care. It's just facts right now. I've seen it personally, and I'm pretty sure you've experienced it as well. And you've maybe even been yourself, you've been biased towards. I've definitely been biased towards it as well. So I'm also speaking from experience of I need to also change from this mindset as well. And that's what I'm working on, okay? Now, number 2 is the biggest elephant in the room. We all know this, right? Trigger warning if you're a person who loves corruption. So there's a lot of different things that come to challenges here where basically if you're trying to launch a good business or a good idea and you're trying to work in an institutional setting, like let's say for example you're trying to partner with certain people who are kind of the gatekeepers of a certain industry, they usually ask for a little bit of little money under the table, like what you gonna do for me? How you gonna scratch my back? Now, scratching your back is not necessarily a bad thing in the business industry, as we do know that's how relationships in business are. You do something for me, I'll do something for you. But they take it to another level of extreme. Like, for example, let's say, for example, you're selling a product for $20 per package or whatever. They'll tell you like, hey, look, actually sell that product for $25 a package and give us $5 under the table for us to make sure that your product is going to be able to put on the shelf or being able to do this and that. Now guys, I'm not sure, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, I know we face corruption challenge. I know in Africa, as in corruption is so wide open, the point where we basically just accepted it. And that's not really going to be good for business, because what's going to end up happening is the entry for barrier is going to be much more tougher, especially if you have to bribe your way to get every decision made or every entry you need to be able to do in your company. And what I've been able to see is this, right? If you have a great idea, if you have a good product, and you try to present it to somebody, and you're just trying to present it in a way that so they can be able to get the product and impact a certain community or be able to deliver the service to a certain like user base or whatever. Usually what that person will ask, if it's a manager or a regional director, they'll be like, hey, you're gonna have to give me a little bit of something under the table if you want me to send this to the VP or the CEO of the company. You're gonna have to scratch my back like really hard, okay? I'm not talking about like taking me out for dinner. I'm talking about you need to go like get me something more than that, okay? So that's another challenge that I've been able to see when it comes to the African market. Now the final part here is more about communication. It's more about kind of how we do systems and stuff like that. Now I'm not sure, once again, I'm not trying to label Africa like that, right? I'm just based from my own personal experience, and I've also worked on different African countries, right? So for example, when we were trying to work with another partner recently, they're actually kind of a pretty big potential partner. We sat down with them, we had a good meeting, and we agreed on the deal that we're gonna work on. Now later on, guess what happened? They told us like, hey, send us the email proposals and we'll check them out. And we worked on it for 2 weeks, and we sent the proposals, and we were sitting there all giggly and all excited, like they're definitely reading this email, they're going over it with the team, they're discussing with the staff members, they're looking with the marketing, the research and everything else, and they're gonna come back and give us a good response. 6 months later, we never got a reply. So my partner, Joshua, actually ended up flying there, and we had to literally fly there. We went to the office, we spoke with the secretary of that company, and they ended up telling us like, actually the directors, their emails have been backed up for the last few months. I'm like, okay. First of all, they're the directors. I'm pretty sure their emails are not backed up, and even if they are backed up, that's a huge problem. So anyway, long story short, we had the meeting with the directors, and guess what? A few months later again, we haven't had a response from them. And then last week I met them face to face. I met one of the directors, and I just said like, hi, how you doing? I didn't even want to talk business about them, man, because like it's the most stressful thing ever. We need to work on that part where that, hey, email replies, like bruv, like if you got an email, reply ASAP. If you've been working on a commitment on a project, like please work on it. Don't feel like you're above others. Let me jump to step number 4. What am I supposed to do? 3, but I got so much anger in me right now. So let's go to number 4, okay guys? Number 4 is people think they're the, I don't want to curse, but people think they're the it. They're the boss. They don't need to answer to you. You're nobody. Now, this is something that I've seen multiple times, and it's going to be a little bit shocking how I'm about to break it down for you right now. So when we're working with like this one, like with 4 partners, I should say, different countries, by the way, in Africa, they treat us like as if we're less. Like they treat us like we're less. Like, no, I am the mundos, which in Swahili is basically the boss, right? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And basically what ends up happening is they think they're it, and so they treat us like dirt. And we've met people who are like, literally, they are a company that's managing millions in assets, and they treat us with respect. They like treat us so very well, and it's so frustrating when you know that you are trying to provide and help someone else, but they treat you like nothing. And this is just something that I've been able to see a lot. Like a person just wants to wear a suit to feel important, while a person else who's wearing cargo shorts is probably doing more bigger deals than that other person in a suit. So you definitely do not want to fall into the trap of where you're trying to think like I'm the it. Everyone should treat me with respect. Everyone should be answering to me. Everyone should be doing this and that. Everything revolves around me. Yeah, I'm the boss. Like, you do not want to fall into that trap. That's gonna hold us back in many ways, okay? So anyway, guys, I know this video might have been a trigger warning for some other people, but I do not care because this is straight facts. Actually, I do care. That's why I said trigger warning to start the video. I'm not sure, like, what is the trigger warning thing? Because I don't know, like, some people might feel like, oh my gosh, I am offended right now because we do not treat Mzungus better, or white foreigners or Europeans or Chinese better than we treat our own local people. Like, come on, man, we've seen this happening. Like, look at what's happening in Africa. China is coming in and buying our land for like cheap prices. And when we try to find ways for the government to be able to help entrepreneurs so they can be able to build their own local real estate market so we can own our own real estate, but they're like, nah. It goes back to the whole corruption thing again, right? If they get a little bit of money under the table, they're gonna just stumble over their own people and go to where the money is at. So there's a lot of different challenges, a lot of different things happening in the African market. And by the way, guys, as in the whole colonialism thing, I'm not here trying to blame colonialism, as in definitely that did definitely a huge, you know, barrier for us. It definitely held us back for a long time. But right now, if you look at the continent, a lot of the different things that are holding us back are basically us. Like, we're the ones who are really holding ourselves back. There's a lot of opportunities, and it goes all the way from the political stage all the way down to the personal stage, because you definitely do not just want to point fingers to your political figures in your country and be like, yeah, they're the problem. That's very easy to do. It's very easy for you to point. As I mentioned back in my earlier in the video, I was talking about some of the challenges where I've also been biased against some of my own local partners compared to when I'm talking to other people in the European market and stuff like that. I've also been biased like that, and I've seen how problematic that can be, and we definitely have to work on it. So once again, I'm not here trying to like shame nobody or anything like that. I'm talking about from personal experience, and I'm just here trying to say we need to change, man. We need to work on that stuff. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this video was able to be insightful, and we're able to kind of have a discussion on this and how we can be able to really help and benefit our own African continent. And also at the same time, we definitely have to go out there and put all these problems out there. We have to openly talk about these problems and forget about all those trigger warning stuff, okay? Because guess what? If we're just going to keep on trigger warning and the person just stops watching the video, then we'll never be able to solve the problem. I'm personally saying that, okay? Thanks for watching the video. Peace to the out. See you later.